Hello once again, everybody. Welcome to my music channel. I am Todd the Mod. If you are returning, welcome back. It's good to have you aboard. If you're brand new, welcome aboard. It's good to have you. Here's where we talk about all things vinyl, cassettes, CDs, music, and updates from my journey with recovering from a stroke and surgery and that kind of fun stuff. So, nothing to report because I just did this last video that you hopefully watched on Sunday, and I'm shooting this one directly after that. So no updates right now, which is good because I can focus on what I'm about to focus on. Steve Carlson, you hear me mention him a lot because I really look up to his channel. He's actually mentored me a little bit too. And Steve, thank you very much. He did this video called The Dynamic Duos, Bands with Only 2 Members. Now, this wasn't a tag. All right. This wasn't a tag at all. It was just something he did. And so I'm going to kind of treat it kind of like a tag, except I'm not going to tag anybody. But I'm kind of going to go off of what he listed. So he listed bands that only have 2 members. And he listed a lot of cool groups, a lot of cool artists. So I'm going to do the same thing. And in fact, the first one I'm going to show, he actually showed, and it was the exact same album. And that's Tears for Fears. This is the Seeds of Love album. I have most of all their stuff on vinyl except for, I think, one. This was a great find, by the way. Great album. But yeah, I mean, I know they have a band behind them when they play live. They have, they had certain members back in the 80s for their their second album, Songs for the Big Chair. But they always labeled them as 2, Roland Orzabal and Kurt Smith. And so, yeah. Tears for Fears, known as two members. There you go. Another 2-member band was electronic synth pop band back in the 1990, I think it was, Cause and Effect. Biggest song off here was You Think You Know Her. Also, Another Minute was a popular underground song for them, I guess you could say. They were kind of popular, but they were, not as big as Depeche Mode, although they sounded reminiscing like Depeche Mode. Actually, great album. They actually released another album that got a lot more airplay on MTV, but I don't have that one, and that album I don't think did that well either. So, Cause and Effect, another 2-man band. Here's one that I'm sure you yacht rock lovers, if you like that term, are going to love, and that is England Dan and John Ford Coley. I have pretty much all their albums on vinyl. I actually love them. This album cover sucks, I'm just going to say. I mean, this is the times it was, right? These leisure suits, I guess you can call them, They look like they'd be coming to your door to preach the word of God to you. But, I mean, I don't know. This is Nights Are Forever. This has their most popular song that I'm sure everyone's heard. I'd really love to see you tonight. The ultimate hookup song. There you go. 2-man band. We mentioned England Dan. His brother Dan, was in a band called Seals and Crofts. This is his brother right there. 2-man band, Seals and Crofts. This is the album Get Closer. You've all heard that song, Get Closer? I'm sure you have. Another yacht rock favorite. Okay, moving right along to 2-member duos, or 2-member bands, I guess you could say. How about Everything But the Girl? This is a great album called Baby, the Stars Shine Bright. And great album. Everyone knows them they had one major hit that was Missing. I have that on CD, but I love this album much better. It's a much better album, and it's got a song called Cross My Heart. Look it up. It's a great song. I used to do music samples, and I just am realizing that my videos tend to run even longer with that, which is why I don't do it. And then sometimes, of course, YouTube blocks it and you can't use it. So I'm just kind of not doing that anymore. But trust me, look up the song Cross My Heart by Everything But the Girl. It's a great song. It's a great ballad. All right, you've all heard of this next one. It's a duo, although they've had some great members in their band. G.E. Smith, T-Bone Burnett, just to name a couple. It's, of course, Hall & Oates. All right, 2-man band. Great musicians backing them up, but always advertised as Daryl Hall and John Oates. 2-man band. Let's go to the Great White North for the next one. 2-man band. These guys were formed out of a band that broke up. The band was originally called Sheriff, and then 2 members broke away and formed their own group and had a little bit of success. Probably more in Canada than in the United States, but that's Frozen Ghost. And this has a song called Should I See? Wonderful song. Still applies to the day. Look it up. Lyrically, it's a great song. Musically, it's a great song. Kind of eerie with the chorus, with the la la la's. If you haven't heard it, look up that song, Should I See? It's a great song. But anyway, Arnold Lonnie and what was the other guy's name? Wolf something. I forgot his last name. I can't pronounce it. They were in a band called Sheriff. They had a hit called oh God, When I'm With You, When I See You. I forgot what it's called. They had a minor hit, and then they broke away and formed Frozen Ghost. They actually lasted, I think, 2 albums. The second album didn't do as good as the first one. This album is actually really good. And yeah, 2-man band, Frozen Ghost. I believe we're still in Canada right now. Yes, we are. The Sisters. You might know who I'm talking about. Tegan and Sara. First heard of them back in, I want to say it was 2000, maybe late 90s. 2000. Yeah, it was 2000. They had a song that was a hit for them called Walking with the Ghost. This is more of a pop album, and I actually love it. It's actually a great album. Tegan and Sara. 2 sisters. There you go. Duo. Check them out. This next synth pop duo had 2 albums out. One, no, I take that back. 2 major hits. One they did not write. One was a cover tune, but they made it a hit. It's Naked Eyes. And remember the song, There's Always Something There to Remind Me. And of course, Promises, Promises was on this album. Their second album I thought was just as good. Didn't really do good commercially though. But yeah, their debut album, 2-man band. All right, let's move on to more synth pop. You can't deny Erasure, right? This is Crackers International. Not my favorite Erasure album, but nonetheless, the only one I own on vinyl. I own most of their stuff on CD. 2-man band. Andy Bell and Vince Clarke, who was in a band called, you may have heard of them, Depeche Mode, and was actually also in another band after Depeche Mode with Alison Moyet, and that was called Yaz. God, I wish I had this on LP. One of these days, I will own this on LP. This is my 99-cent Goodwill version I got, because I actually had this on cassette for years, never owned it on CD or vinyl. So there you go. Now I own it on CD for 99 cents. But yeah, 2-man band. There we go. What about, I have to look at my list here off to the side. Now, this one didn't start off as a 2-man band. In fact, when they first started, there was quite a few members on for this group. And then they became 3. So it's not a 2-man band. And they had major hits, major success with an album called Into the Gap. Gosh, that album is just wonderful. Yeah, but then Joe Leeway left the band and they became 2. And that I'm talking about is Thompson Twins. This is, I think, the first album with Joe Leeway not being in the group. And this is called Close to the Bone. I actually saw them on this tour. Sadly, this was the demise of Thompson Twins. Like when I saw them, it was maybe they were playing a place called SDSU's Open Air Theater. It's called something else now. I think Cal Coast Amphitheater or something of that nature. It's actually where I saw the Smiths too, actually. But it was half full. I kind of felt sorry for them because their popularity was just wavering at that point. This is actually a pretty good album, though. Close to the Bone. Not as good as Into the Gap. I mean, that's hard to beat. That was their staple of an album, right? That was their Sgt. Pepper's. But yeah. But Thompson Twins became a duo, and they lasted a couple more albums after this, and then they eventually called it a day. All right, moving right along. What about electronic? This is Get the Message, the best of electronic on vinyl. Now, I know this could be a little bit debatable because Neil Tennant from Pet Shop Boys did some vocals and did some songs. Obviously, their big one called I'm Getting Away With It. He also sang a couple on, I think, Forbidden City and something else. But they only advertised Johnny Marr and Bernard Sumner. So I considered it a duo. There you go. If I'm wrong, drop a comment. Tell me how wrong I am. I don't care. I still think it's a duo. So there you go. All right. Another band. Not as popular as electronic, but did have a hit with Hey St. Peter. It's Flash in the Pan. There were 2 of them. I don't know their names, though. Let's see if I can find out in the credits. Let's just see. No. I mean, that's what Wikipedia's for, right? Wikipedia's for. Probably should research that, but I know they were a two-man band. Yeah, flash in the pan. All right, and last but certainly not least, this is one of my favorite bands. Now you're saying band, Todd. Does that mean there's more than just two people in it? Well, yeah, and the band itself had more than two people. I think 5 members were in this band. But back in 1982, they decided to call it a day. Everyone thought it was permanent. They would later get back together and put out some great albums. But they did do a solo thing together, and that's Difford and Tilbrook. Glenn Tilbrook and Chris Difford, the 2 songwriters of Squeeze, the Lennon and McCartney of the 80s. They did put out a solo album that I actually quite like. A lot of people don't like this album. I actually kind of liked it. Is it as good as Squeeze? No. No. I mean, it's definitely, technically this is like Squeeze 2.0 kind of, really. I mean, I don't know. It did involve Keith Wilkinson, who later went on to be the bass player for Squeeze. He replaced John Bentley. Later, John Bentley would come back, but they had a lot of lineup changes after Frank. After the album Frank, they started having a lot more lineup changes constantly. So, Difford and Tilbrook, 2 considered a duo for that. At least for that album, they were a duo. All right. So, what are the groups that are two-man bands, so to speak, 2 or duos that I've left out that maybe you want to mention? Drop it in the comments below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Of course, please do subscribe if you like my channel. I do want to give a shout out to another channel that I've recently been watching. One's called Spin the Black Circle. He's got 591 subscribers, 43 videos. What's really cool about his channel, he's somewhere in England, I think in London, and he goes and does these record store tours of London that I absolutely love because it's on my bucket list. I've been wanting to do this for years, since the 80s, since I was in high school. I've been wanting to go to England and just go record shopping and, of course, go see all the sights and visit England. It's on my bucket list. I hope it happens someday, but I can live vicariously through Spin the Black Circle while he goes and tours really cool record shops, and he talks about them and stuff. So I'm really enjoying his channel. Check him out. I'll put a link to his channel below. Once again, thank you for watching. Be good to each other. I'll see you next week. You had 2 videos this week. Amazing. I did 2. Pretty cool. All right. I'm proud of myself. Pat myself on the back. Anyway, be good to each other. Talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.